All right, I think that is enough time to let any potential guests that most of you logged in. So for those of you that have already been there, hit the start. Thank you very much for waiting. I would like to do a brief introduction. I want to make sure that everyone can obviously see my screen over here with the PowerPoint going over that we're going to go over today. So my name is Brett McAllister. I'm the Director for Graduate Admissions for the Halmos College of Arts and Sciences. With me today is a variety of faculty members, as well as one who I'm sure the majority has spoken with is Ms. Farah Amro, who's one of my admissions counselors here. You do not see the PowerPoint at the moment. Okay, give me one quick second. I'll fix that. But as I mentioned with me today, I was also Ms. Farah Amro, who the majority of you have spoken with, either through email or some kind of contact, either phone call. And she is going to handle anything with your admissions questions as well at a later date or at the moment. So give me one quick moment to just fix my screen, and we will get started in just a second. There we go. I believe that should have fixed it so people can at least see the PowerPoint screen. All right. Give me one quick moment. All right, awesome. And for those of you that are here, we are obviously here to learn more about the Department of Conflict and Resolution Studies. We are very excited for those of you that are attending, so thank you very much, both my panelists, who I will introduce, as well as members of my staff. So with us, just kind of going from the little squares I got on my screen, we have Dr. Judith McKay, who is one of the chairs for the PhD department. Also, Ms. Cheryl Duckworth is the chair for the master's department, as well as three other distinguished faculty members with ours. Dr. Neil Katz, Dr. Terry Savage, and Dr. Alexia. And Alexia, I am so sorry. I am terrible at pronouncing your last name, so I don't want to embarrass myself by trying to pronounce that correctly. But I'm sure you'll get to speak and you can do it then. So thank you all faculty members for being here with us today. So I do like to introduce the Dean of the college as well, Dean Holly Baumgartner. She is not able to be with us today because she has a very, very busy schedule, as most deans are obviously working at colleges. She just wanted, she welcomes everyone to the Halmos College of Arts and Sciences and the Guy Harvey Oceanographic Research Center. The college is NSU's intellectual and cultural foundation, firmly anchoring the university in the liberal arts and sciences, and is necessary for the 21st century workforce on into graduate school. We encourage you in a cutting-edge selection of majors and minors built on innovative models and relative technologies. Now, a lot of these things we hear more about today from the faculty members discussing those very cutting-edge selections that we do here have at the university, particularly within the conflict department. I'm excited to listen more from the faculty as well. Now, this is a multi-campus location. We do have a oceanographic campus out in Davie, but the main campus is the main campus is over in Davie. We also have an oceanographic facility in Dania Beach. But the main campus, as I said, is Davie, Fort Lauderdale area, which is really exciting. This picture that we do have here is the Student University Center, as well as we do have, as the graphic says, we have a 5-story Alvin Sherman Library. That is one of the largest public libraries offered in the state of Florida, which is always exciting. Now, we do have a variety of graduate programs here at the university, so I'd like to go over them as well before diving into the conflicts department. So we have Master of Science in National Security and International Relations, Biological Sciences, Marine Sciences, and then, of course, Conflict Analysis and Resolution Studies master's degree that we'll hear more about today, as well as a Master's of Professional Science in Environmental Policy and Sciences, Master of Arts in Composition, Rhetoric, and Digital Media. And then we do offer 2 PhDs, one in oceanography and marine biology, and then, of course, the conflict analysis and resolution PhD that we will dive really far into today with the variety of faculty we have here, as well as my own staff as well. So the main people that I mentioned as well, Dr. Ismail Vingi is the current interim department chair. He is not with us today, unfortunately. So I know, Dr. McKay, you said you were going to take over a lot of it as well. So Dr. McKay, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. With that, if you guys have any questions, please do let you know that we will have a Q&A session at the end of about 10 to 15 to 20 minutes, maybe a little bit longer as needed. So please save your questions till then, and we'll be happy to answer them. And with that, Dr. McKay, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I have the honor and privilege of being the director of the PhD program, and Dr. Cheryl Duckworth is the director of the master's program. Not sure what's going on now with our PowerPoint. Okay, so when we look at, are we going to go back to the beginning? Okay, so just one click over, go to the next slide. Okay, so basically conflict resolution and conflict management is so important these days. You know, all you have to do is turn on the TV, your computer, any sort of news outlet, and you're going to see the levels of conflict that are going on both domestically and internationally. And so what does conflict resolution, you know, have to do? Well, we bridge social divides. We look at divisions within communities, neighborhoods, organizations, and countries. We facilitate life-changing dialogue so that we help people learn how to really discuss sensitive and important matters in ways that are respectful and in ways that are peaceful. Just because we don't agree doesn't mean, you know, we have to become violent. And violence is not always physical violence, it's also verbal violence as well. We try to build trust among different peoples, whether they're in a community or whether they're in a country. We negotiate solutions for complex problems, and we train negotiation so that we're training people to be able to solve some of their own problems. We build strong communities. We're very devoted to building strong communities. We support environmental sustainability. We prevent violence. We are very into violence prevention and intervention. So are there ways in which we can prevent violence? Sometimes yes. And are there ways that we can manage and resolve it? Yes. And we promote peaceful efforts around the globe. Okay, so what are our class formats? So looking at kind of a day in the life, we have some on-campus classes, and they typically start at 6 p.m. on weekdays. We also have online classes. They are also in the evening. And we look at synchronous meetings as well as asynchronous. In synchronous, we have Zoom. And so in Zoom, you're in like a classroom. It's a Zoom classroom. As a faculty member, I can provide a lecture, I can show PowerPoint, we can have discussions, they can break out into small groups. There's all kinds of things that we can do with it that make learning really exciting. We have hybrid modalities where some classes will be in Zoom, and then we may have some residential opportunities, such as at our residential institutes, which we started in 1999. And they are offered once or twice a year, typically in September or October and in February. And it's an opportunity for our students at a distance to come to campus, to have classes in person, to meet their other colleagues. It's like a mini conference because we have keynote speakers, we have working groups that will have different events and activities. We have a graduate student government that also offers activities. So we have a lot of things going on. And we have unbelievably unmatched facilities and resources. We have a beautiful campus of over 300 acres. It is gorgeous. You will so enjoy spending time on it. Okay, and so what are some of the things that our students love? Well, they love the flexible formats of being on campus, but also having opportunities to take online classes. Even if you're a local student, because of your schedule, you may find that some classes you're going to sign up for residentially on campus, and some you may choose to sign up for at a distance online. There are all sorts of opportunities to learn, to research, and to apply what you're doing in the community or in organizations. We offer mentorship. We have a peer mentorship program that the department runs so that students who have been in the program, you know, for a little while are able to mentor new students coming into the program who have lots of questions and sometimes would prefer to talk to a fellow student than perhaps even a faculty member. And of course, we have faculty and staff support. We're very responsive. We love our students. And of course, we have community. I mentioned earlier working groups. We have different working groups that are devoted to particular types of activities with, in some cases, various communities. We have our residential institute, our time when students come to campus and enjoy our facilities. We have DCRS success webinars. We offer them frequently. Dr. Duckworth helps to coordinate them, where we take some of our alums, for example, and other folks, and they present what's worked for them, what were their tips, what were things that they wish they knew back in the day. And of course, we also have a Facebook community and other online presences. Some of the things that students also love is we are very devoted to sustainable development. We're very interested in that. And in fact, we've been launching and are launching some new courses in that area. We do a lot of community-based conservation. What is it that you can do in your local community for sustainable development and for conservation? We have environmental conflict. In fact, we've been involved in environmental conflict since the 1990s, offering courses and opportunities. And of course, quantitative and other applied research that we're involved with qualitatively as well. And we have global practicums, which are really exciting. They're opportunities for students to go with a faculty member to another part of the world where there are activities, events, and things that have already been planned out for them to meet with local leaders, government leaders, other NGOs. They're able to work on some projects. It's very enriching and very expanding in terms of seeing how some of the things you're learning right in the classroom, you can do right in the community, and not only the local community, but in the global community as well. So we're very excited about that, as are our students. Okay, so Dr. Duckworth, would you like to talk about the master's degree?
Good afternoon. Yes, thank you so much, Judith. I appreciate it. And thank you to you, Brett and Farah, for hosting this open house. It's incredibly gratifying and exciting to see so many people here. As Judith said, we are a world in need. We are very much in need of the skills and tools and concepts that can help us nonviolently, sustainably, constructively resolve conflict. And so you've come to the right place. I am very pleased to be the director of our master's program. It's a master's in conflict analysis and resolution. So we're unique in the sense that we are both applied and theoretical. We're interdisciplinary, so you're going to get a broad, very applicable, practical view of how to problem solve in everyday life. We're 36 credits, as you can see, and we can help you advance in a diverse profession that promotes, as I say, nonviolent, non-litigious. Courtrooms can be very adversarial, excuse me, there's a place for them, but non-litigious solutions for conflict that can arise in virtually any context, right? Personal, professional, organizational, social, international, community, global. I could go on and on. Our headlines do not lack any conflict. So we've got a very exciting program. We're 36 credits, so quite manageable. We've got a set of core courses and of course a number of electives that students can use to kind of create your own specialty, whether it be sustainable development, organizational conflict, family-based conflict. I do a lot of work related to youth and conflict, schools, peace, human rights pedagogy, that kind of thing. My own personal, slice of the pizza. So I won't say more because I know we've got a lot of people here. So I'm anticipating that there might be kind of a plenty of Q&A. My name is Cheryl CD 956 at nova.edu. Please feel free to reach out to me.
Okay, here you see some examples of working groups, residential institutes. You see all kinds of events going on around the world. And it's very exciting. Again, we have global practicums, and global practicums are so exciting for students. And we have working groups. The working groups typically meet during residential institute and at other times. You can see a list of some of the working groups that we have, from the African working group, the Latin American and Caribbean, peace and conflict resolution education, which Dr. Duckworth coordinates, conflict resolution community of practice, and also the social justice roundtable. So we have many different opportunities for you to meet with other like-minded people who have interests similar to yours professionally. Okay, I'm the director of the doctoral program, and I teach a number of courses from and involved in things such as conflict and crisis communication. I train law enforcement officers on a regular basis in crisis work. I have trained nurses, doctors, and other professionals in healthcare. I've run leadership sessions, strategic community planning, family conflict and violence, law enforcement, and public policies. And the picture that you see there is actually a session that I ran over in the library. Some students came in, and then there were other people from the community. And it's Story Cafe, where we pick a topic and people start talking about it, and then they create something at the end. And in this case, they had actually put their hands down on paper, and they traced it out, and they were doing all sorts of interesting things. My background, for me in my first life, I was a high school teacher and guidance counselor. Then I counseled myself into law school at Emory in Atlanta, and I was a trial attorney for a number of years. And then I just became so fascinated in terms of why some people can settle their differences and other people seemingly can't. So I got my PhD in conflict analysis and resolution. Next slide. Okay, here's some information about the doctoral philosophy in our program. It is a 76 credit program. And when you look at a PhD program, it's really broken down into 3 parts. You have the courses, then you have a qualifying exam, which qualifies you into the 3rd part, which is dissertation. And there you can see an example of some of our curriculum. And we're in the process of reviewing our curriculum once again. But basically, once you're accepted into the program and you start, at some point soon, you will pass a preliminary review, which is where you do a self-evaluation of how you're doing. What are the challenges that you've had, and what are the triumphs that you've had? You do pass that qualifying exam. And then, of course, you do have to complete a dissertation, and a dissertation is original research contributing to the body of knowledge of the field. And so dissertations are actually very exciting because it's your own research project. And so that can be a little daunting to some, but it's very exciting. And so we're very proud of our students. And you can see a variety of careers. You can see everything from social services, education, healthcare, government, nonprofit, military. You can be an advanced practitioner, you can be an educator, a consultant, a program evaluator, and an organizational administrator. You know, people come into our programs in some cases to launch a new career, in other cases to look at an upward trajectory in a career they're already in. And so they want to move to higher levels, and they need an advanced degree in order to do that. Next. We want to just highlight a few of our alums just to show you some of the things that they have accomplished. This is Jackie Font Guzman, and she's a director of diversity, equity, inclusion at the Eastern Mennonite University. She's been a certified mediator and arbitrator and a very well qualified trainer. She originally comes from Puerto Rico. She does a lot of her trainings in Spanish as well as in English, and we are so enormously proud of her. And then we have Dr. Patrick Patterson, who retired from the military as a commander in 2009. We have a number of people who, as they're getting ready to retire from military or government, are looking around and saying, what's my next chapter? And oftentimes their next chapter will be a graduate degree, whether it's a master's degree, or in this case, a PhD. He is a professor of practice at the William Perry Center at the National Defense University, and he teaches security and defense issues to Latin American and Caribbean officials, part of a U.S. government security, cooperative enterprises, and various courses on human rights, international humanitarian law, democracy, good governance, humanitarian assistance, and disaster relief. Dr. Gwendolyn Smith is another one of our alums. She is a co-founder and chair of the Green Growth Suriname Foundation. She was selected as one of the UN roster of experts on governance and inclusion of Indigenous peoples and Afro-descendants, and for the United Nations roster of experts, Latin America and Caribbean. She is a consultant to the government of Suriname, to the World Bank, to so many other groups and organizations seek her out. She has over 20 publications in terms of books, chapters, journal articles, media, and she has raised over $6 million for NGOs in terms of grants. Very impressive, lovely person. We are so proud of her. And then, of course, we have Basil Agorgi. He's the president and CEO of the International Center for Ethno-Religious Mediation. He's a special consultant with the United Nations Economic and Social Council and the United Nations headquarters in New York within the Africa 2 division of the Department of Political Affairs. And of course, we have Alicia Booker, who is basically, in an area that Dr. Katz loves, which is ombuds at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. She is the founder and CEO of Corporate Confidence since 2006. She's adjunct faculty at SMU and on the board of directors of the International Ombuds Association. And then we have Scotty Visser, who is a recent graduate. She is a senior ethics manager for the Boeing Corporation. She's a program manager for Boeing's Ethics Ambassador Program, a leadership development program for Boeing teammates to share messaging, encouraging employees to speak up and to ensure teammates are committed to Boeing's values. She's also a mediator for Boeing's Alternative Dispute Resolution Program.
Awesome. Thank you,
Now I'm
Dr.
going to turn it over to Brett. And then after that, we're going to be talking
Yes.
to some of our faculty.
Absolutely. Right before the Q&A session, we'll go through some of the admissions process stuff right now, everyone. And I'll turn it back over to our amazing faculty who will briefly introduce themselves, talk about themselves, and then we'll get started on that Q&A session. So introducing my staff again, my name is Brett McAllister. I'm the Director for Graduate Admissions. I also have Miss Megan Troy, one of my assistant directors. Theodore Uwe, one of assistant directors. Obviously, Ms. Farah Amro is my newest hire. I'm very excited to have her with us. And also Andrew Gepner as our administrative coordinator. So you will potentially speak to most likely Farah most of the time, but once in a while you might get myself or a member of our staff. We're all very knowledgeable and very able to help. So glad you guys are here. Now, as well, going forward, we do have a couple of deadlines coming up, which I will happily talk to you guys about. Now, obviously, winter 24 is close because that was going to be back this past semester. We do have summer 24 coming up. For those of you interested in the master's program, the application deadline is right around the corner on April 12th. So that is coming up, as well as the fall PhD application and any master's students that are looking for the fall as well. It's going to be July 19th. So that is, it does not seem that close, but it is a lot closer than you think. Now, we do have what we call a rolling admissions process, which is obviously basically submit the application as soon as you're able, and we are usually able to get a response back to you in usually about 7 to 10 business days, give or take the faculty members' busy schedules across the board. Now, as we mentioned, as before, the PhD program deadline is going to be only offered in the fall. So that is a question we get a lot. It is only offered in the fall semester, and that's going to be July 19th. So that's only a fall term master's program is offered fall, winter, and summer. Now, the MS in graduate application materials, so we will be needing to complete the NSU application. Along with that is a $50 application fee. We do need all official transcripts from all undergraduate and any potential other graduate educational experiences. For those of you that are international students, because we do have a decent amount of views, that needs to be either evaluated by either WES or a NACIS approved company. All that information, either we can send it on to you, or it is actually found on our website of International Affairs Office. Now, we do recommend, and we do want 2 letters of recommendation. We would prefer to have as many of those as possible from an academic reference source. Professional references are potentially valuable as well, but our faculty and our school itself is really looking for your academic experience on top of that. We will also need a personal statement, which is a roughly 500 to 1,000 word essay detailing your experiences, what you're looking to hope to gain from this program. Really tell us about you, what makes you you, and why you want to be in this program. We also would like to see a resume or a CV, as well as an academic writing sample. And that academic writing sample can be a variety of topics, from any current papers you're working on, any post papers, any journal entries, any of that kind of stuff to really kind of get our faculty an idea for what you are capable from an academic experience from a writing sample standpoint. Now, I do like to mention as well that we are very much a holistic look at your approach. You'll notice that there are a variety of topics on here. It's not just only your transcripts and that's it. There's the letters of recommendation, there's the personal statement, there's a lot going on there because our faculty want to know more than just numbers. They want to really get to know who you are as a student. And that's why we have these variety of different things that we require from our students. Now, going on to the PhD, it is a very similar application standpoint. There are a few differences that I'll go over, but we still need the NSU application that's on our website, the $50 application fee, all your official transcripts from all higher education experiences. Keep in mind, again, that is from the international student standpoint. That does need to get evaluated, as well as 3 letters of recommendation instead of 2. The personal statement, the resume CV, and your academic writing sample as well. Now, just a couple of examples from an academic writing sample I should have mentioned. Like I said, they're journal entries. We've had other theses from undergrad students sent over. It's a variety of different topics that you can submit from a writing sample. Now, your letters of recommendation, they do need to be recent ones, and they need to be vaguely more specific. So we do occasionally get a letter of recommendation from somebody that their previous professor wrote to them 3 or 4 years ago for a different subject. We need more recent ones for those of you that are looking to make that application standpoint. So this is a great opportunity for you to reconnect with previous faculty, re-engage your previous college experience at some point. It's good for you to do in general, but this is a great opportunity to reach back out and reconnect with previous faculty. Now, the graduate application account overview. Now, keep in mind, guys, as you are going through this process, if you do have more questions, obviously, this is being recorded today, and we will send this back out to you once we've had a chance to edit it a little bit and just cut out some pieces here and there. But we will be able to help you through this if you need this. Please give myself a call, give Farrah a call, give any member of my team a call, and we'll help you out. But from the graduate application account overview, displays all open applications if it's applied to multiple programs. Make sure that you are completing the application for each program. So if you are applying for our PhD and maybe a different degree at the college, make sure you are specific. Again, if you need help, there's account accessing problems. We do have the number right there from the help@nova.edu. So they will be very helpful with that. Areas of interest shows all programs that the students are going to be interested in, because we do have students that are looking to maybe apply to a couple different programs at the university. Now, biographical contact information. This is a general information page. So the section for general information, including your name, date of birth, address, NSU affiliation, etc. Whether you're a current student, previous student, have never worked at NSU before. Please do keep a notice, guys, that any error in the contact information, please contact us, myself, the graduate admissions representative, or Farrah, and we'll be able to help fix those with you guys. And also, please do, for those of you who have just recently graduated from undergrad or a master's program as well, use an email address outside of your educational one. There are often times that we do see that universities will either close an email or change it for some capacity, and then you'll lose access. That if we are reaching out to that student email address and we're unable to get in contact with you, that's most likely why. So if you have a different account, whether it's a Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail for some of you that have maybe had an email for a decent amount of time, whatever you guys are using, please do submit that instead of using a reference standpoint from your university. It makes it easier on our standpoint. Plus, sometimes our university emails either might come as a general one or as an automatic one that we do send out periodically as an admissions team. It might get sent to a spam, other kind of folder, particularly if you're using a university email. So sometimes personal ones are a little bit better. Now, from the program and additional information, this section should be filled out already. And as this is answered, when initially created on your account. So when you initially make one, this should already be filled out. Now, please go through and double check. Your entry term is the big one. Occasionally, the system does have glitches. So if you're trying to apply for that fall PhD, it might, for some reason, let you start an application for the summer. That is just a technical glitch. We did not open it specially for anybody. It is only offered in the fall. So please do review this and just double check. Students, you can defer an application up to 1 year past the anticipated entry term. So that means if you started an entry term for the fall PhD and you don't actually end up making to complete it for this upcoming fall, you do have 1 calendar year to defer your application. All right. If it's the master's, that does give you those couple other terms to defer it to. But for the PhD, it is only giving you that 1 full calendar year since we do only offer it in the fall semester. Now, prior college information, we do need to see all transcripts from all previous attended higher educational experiences. Applicants who have not yet completed their undergraduate degree programs, you may submit an official transcript prior to the degree conferral to be considered for what we like to call the provisional admission standpoint. Now, we will need to receive that final transcript after you have officially graduated and have that degree conferral, but that's something you'll be able to work out with your registrar's office as well. Once we do receive that, you will then receive the full admission into the program. Courses, as I mentioned, taken at a non-U.S. institution must be evaluated by an organization as part of the NACIS approved, or WES is the other one we do have. And again, this information is on our website. Transcripts must be sent by the institution to be considered an official copy, and it needs to be sent to this address right here specifically. Again, we can provide this information to you as well, but any transcript that is sent to either myself, any of the faculty, to Farah, anybody else is not sent to this email will be counted as an unofficial transcript. That is very standard for the course across every university I have worked at. That is the way things are done to handle fraud potential or anything like that. We need to be very specific that is sent to this as an official transcript. And I would hate for you guys to send it, get lost in the shuffle as well. So make sure we are sending any transcripts there. Now on to the supplemental items and documents as we mentioned before. This is a separate section from the rest of the application. So once you have completed the application, pay the $50 application fee, it will open up for you to start submitting those documents that we mentioned before. So submission status, newly submitted items generally do take about 24 to 48 hours to get fully processed in the system. So if you upload a letter of recommendation, give us a little bit of time to get that officially sent in. Now, letters of recommendation, they must be submit the application first. So what happens is before the letters of request are sent out, you have to complete the application itself. As I mentioned before, is that $50 application fee as well as the biographical information. You can submit up to 3 letters. It will be reached out to the faculty, professional reference, wherever you guys are requesting those from. It will get sent out to them an automatic email. If they do not receive an automatic email from our system within 24 to 48 hours, please do contact a member of our admissions staff. If it doesn't work, sometimes, as I mentioned before, things get sent to spam folders, trash folders, junk folders, promotional folders. If you have a Gmail account, it can kind of be different folders. If they're really having a tough time getting them, while we do like to upload it through the system itself, just for a chain of connection, it makes it a lot easier on our part. If we're having a lot of problems, do feel free to have the official letter of recommender, send it to myself or Miss or Farah here, and professional letterhead from their professional account, and we can then manually upload it that way. It's a little bit of a roundabout kind of a way, and it doesn't work quite as well, but we make do as best we can with certain things. I know not everything's perfect with technology as much as we would love it to be. So please do, try and keep on top of your recommenders. I know sometimes they're busy, people get busy with things, they might not be on top of it as well. So just every once in a while, if it is not marked received on your application, just check in with whoever you made the request to, as well as my staff. Now, going on to tuition and fees. Now, obviously, this is something that is important to everyone. Now, please keep in mind, this is before any potential scholarship things or any of those natures, FAFSA, all that stuff is taken into account. But from the master's degree, from a tuition of estimated cost of attendance for 2023 to 2024, we base it on a tuition of a full calendar year, which at the graduate level is going to be 3 semesters. It is a fall, winter, and summer semester, and you'll be taking, on average, is about 6 credits per semester. So that total cost is not just 2 semesters, it's going to be 3, which we base it on an 18 per credit year. So for us currently right now, the tuition is $830 per credit hour, which is going to roughly equate to $14,940. Any fees that will be there, which would be a student potential fee, things of that nature, do equal right to around $1,800. It means a total for a full semester of school is going to be right around $16,740 for the master's degree for the tuition and fees standpoint. Now, please keep in mind, there is that asterisk right there on the cost per credits per year. There is a potential to, if you would like to take more credits, this could be adjusted. But upon acceptance in the program, that would be a conversation you need to have with one of our academic advisors or Ms. Duckworth for the master's program. And I imagine Judith, Dr. McKay for the PhD program. But traditionally, graduate students only take 2 classes per semester, which is where that 6 credits come into play. Now, for the PhD standpoint, it is obviously a different tuition. It is still based on that 18 credits per calendar year, which is that fall, winter, and summer. The cost per credit hour is going to be $1,185, which does equate to a full calendar year of being right around $21,330. That tuition and fees page, the fees stuff is still the exact same, right around $1,800. So that's going to be a total of right around $23,100. Now, again, keep in mind, guys, there's an asterisk there in terms of the cost per credit hour, depending on what you're able to handle from a course. So that'd be a conversation, as I mentioned, with Dr. McKay and the academic program coordinators. There is potential to take more, but we really only recommend at the graduate level to take about 6 per semester. Now, as I did mention, there are potential opportunities for graduate scholarships and paid positions here at the university. Now, our graduate scholarships, once you've been accepted into the program, that's when you could then begin applying for these varying scholarships that the university does have, as well as the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. That's going to be the fafsa.ed.government website. Our school code is here as well. And please keep in mind, folks, that we'll be sending this out again. And this is all offered on our website. So if you do miss any potential information, this recording will be sent out to you as soon as we are able to. There are financial aid packages. Loans may include educational loans, federal work study opportunities. We do have an NSU payment plan, breaking it down by semester, bill into monthly installments that you would work with our lovely bursar's office to have any questions, or as well as the registrar's office, trying to make sure everything is taken care of there. Now, we do offer scholarships and TA opportunities as well. And that is a great opportunity that when our faculty do start talking again in just a few minutes here to talk to them about those opportunities. Now, I do know, maybe they'll correct me if I'm wrong here, but we do not usually let first semester students really take those TA opportunities. We want to make sure you are in the program and comfortable with your class before you take on the additional responsibility of being a TA for potential others. Now, we do have on my staff a variety of social media aspects, whether it's Facebook, social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, that actually technically is now X, that we need to change that to, as well as our own YouTube channel, which is the Halmos College of Arts and Sciences. Please take some time, subscribe. If you have any questions, please take a look at anything like that. And we do constantly post on these varying social media posts, guys, for whether it's virtual lecture series events that we do have coming up in April, whether it's a virtual lecture coming up in the fall, a virtual open house, different events that our lovely faculty are doing throughout the year. We do post things throughout the time, so do keep an eye on that. I do know that I also want to mention that upon the end of today's presentation, we'll be sending out an email to you guys with the recording, as well as a Q&A session, specifically a survey that Ms. Amro has put together, which we're very excited for. So please do take some time at the pond getting that survey and fill it out for us. It really appreciates us to make sure that we are doing the best that we can to make sure our students are well taken care of. Now, moving on to the audience questions, I think before we get on to that specifically, I want to make sure I let our lovely faculty get to just introduce themselves and talk a little bit, and we will then get started on the Q&A session as well. So with that.
Yes, thank you. I would like each of the faculty to just take about 2 minutes, really brief, and just introduce yourself and what it is that you do. What are your areas of specialization, so that then we have some time for Q&A. So why don't we start with you, Dr. Katz?
Okay, thank you. So again, my name is Neil Katz, and I'm known as what's called a pracademic. So it's a little strange word, but it's somebody that has a regular academic appointment, but spends a great deal of time in applied work, or what we call practice work. So in my 52 years, it's hard to believe, 52 years as a university professor at Syracuse University and Nova Southeastern University, I have literally trained thousands of officials and managers and supervisors in federal government, state government, private sector, nonprofit sector. So I teach courses in emotional intelligence, mediation, negotiation, consulting. And I'm also, Dr. McKay mentioned this, another strange word, I'm the college ombuds, O-M-B-U-D-S, a word that I had to learn also. So I deal with disputes and issues within our college for faculty and staff. I must enjoy what I'm doing, because again, 52 years and that's, I'm still going. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll be glad to talk about my consulting and training work if we have time during the Q&A.
Thank you, Dr. Katz. Dr. Georgakopoulos, would you like to take a minute or two to talk about your work?
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody, and a pleasure having you all here today. I just want to remind you all, we are among one of the earliest conflict resolution graduate programs in the nation. So I always want to remind folks that we are a very special program. You're not going to be a number here. You're going to be a star because we really work with our students very closely. We have remarkable students. Oscar, we had award-winning actors for Shad Farhad. You mentioned William Perry, Hemispheric Defense Studies. We have military students. We have students that are now deans at universities around the country. So our students are exceptional. It's not an accident you're here. I think there's a reason why you're here. Most of us professors also, we have a reason we're here. We were called to this field. For me personally, my parents escaped revolution. They were in part of Department of Defense, and they escaped revolution in the Middle East. My grandfather served in World War II and escaped death on many occasions. And my great-grandmother's house and her parents' house was burned by the Nazis. So I don't think it's a surprise you have such passionate professors here. And it was really an honor when NBC News invited me to speak about, is peace possible? Is world peace possible on the Today Show? And I said, absolutely, but it takes one person at a time. It takes people like you all committed to the field, and that's what we're doing. So it is an honor to have you here. If you need anything about this program, we're all here to answer your questions. Our research is all over, from international to community to local. I'm working right now with a project and grant on rebuilding Ukraine. I was involved with Israel-Palestine peace builders and mediators beyond borders. We work with the American Arbitration Association. Our students are VPs in American Arbitration Association and mediation.com. So you have great networking opportunities for career pathways after you graduate. So we're so excited. And the beauty is, in our program, it's interdisciplinary. So you're going to be with peers from all different disciplines, not just one or two. So it never is boring moment. So I'm going to pass it on to another wonderful colleague to
Thank you
share.
so much,
some-
Dr. Georgakopoulos. How about Dr. Savage? Would you like to take a moment or two to talk about your work?
Thanks, Dr. McKay, and good afternoon to everyone. Very good to be with you, and I'm looking forward to tackling some of those prickly questions that have already come up. Thank you for that. I've asked myself one or two of those questions as well, and be good to talk it through. So I'm fairly new to the department, and I was drawn by the department's commitment to a scholarship of engagement. That scholarship of engagement drew me as somebody coming from Southern Africa, who's worked in areas of human rights and in situations of war and situations emerging out of war, post-agreement contexts, beginning in the non-governmental, non-profit sector in South Africa, in Cape Town, and also then working with the UN in Burundi and Nepal and Iraq and Libya. But I joined the department because I very much believed and felt that there was this commitment to turning scholarship into good practice, decent practice, productive and transformative practice. And the areas that I work in the department chiefly, I think, exemplify some of that, and that is dealing with the past, transitional justice, restorative justice, and I'm also hoping to develop some work on transformative justice. So incorporating the social and economic and political conditions in which justice efforts are undertaken. I'm also working on restorative justice approaches to dealing with the climate crisis, which has become both very polarized, but also as a justice issue. If you look at it, Africa contributes less than 4% to the problem, and yet has this amazing capacity to be part of the solution through solar energy and other options. So that's where some of my work is. I also work, and I'll close with this, retaining the practice dimension for the college in a role as liaison to international networks, in which I draw on my own history with the UN and in the NGO sector, to cultivate the networks within the department and the college. We've just signed a memorandum of understanding with one of the UN agencies to cooperate with them on training options for our degree programs. And we're also looking at a few other options in that area for memoranda of understanding for cooperation on the Geneva circuit, and also back in Southern Africa and elsewhere. So I look forward to the conversations we may have. I should perhaps mention that Dr. Katz was my mentor many years ago. Everything I've learned, good and bad, you could say I learned from him. And I followed him to Florida in trust. And I'm hoping that you might find reason to have a similar trust in us, in where you invest yourselves, your life's energies, your working energies at this graduate level. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Savage. Dr. Duckworth, was there anything you would like to add about yourself?
Yeah, maybe just one quick minute, not a whole lot, because I know we have some questions and answers, but essentially what I do, my teaching research focuses on youth, public schools, conflict, especially in the public schools, but broader than that, peace education, human rights education. What are the role of schools in addressing violent conflict overall? What is the role of schools in ending hate crimes, violent extremism? So I will talk your ear off about that if you'd, if anybody would like to. Thank you, Judith, for the opportunity. And I know we've got a lot of people here, so I'd love to for some dialogue.
Brett, perhaps we could look at some questions from our participants or from the chat, the Q&A.
Absolutely. So I do know because seeing like Dr. wants to answer a couple of them live, which sounds like a great opportunity. So first one coming from Rachel. Also, I do apologize if I mispronounce anyone's name wrong. I am just awful at reading them, pronouncing them, as I said slightly earlier. Again, apologize, Dr. G. It feels very welcoming to have a diverse professional staff and extremely talented students. So Dr. you said you wanted to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I was just going to say, I thought that was a great observation. It really, we hope it's welcoming. So thank you for that comment.
Awesome. From Ariella, what are, if any, some of the academic issues that online students have reported?
I think some of their issues, have to do with things like time management, which is something that everybody has to deal with. But for some of our online students, it may also depend on the time zone they're in. So for some of them, our classes typically start, for example, at 6 p.m. That's 6 p.m. East Coast time. That's not necessarily 6 p.m. in California or in Hawaii or in another country. And so that is oftentimes some of the challenges that our students have, because 6 p.m. for us, I have a student that it's 2 a.m. for him. And so that's definitely, one of the challenges is just making sure that their schedule, can adjust somewhat to the schedule of our classes.
If I could add to that, we have a very strong online program and presence. So we know what online students need. We cater to that. We customize it. When you are in class, you're going to feel like you are in person because we want it engaging. We have activity sessions. We're very experiential. We have the Residential Institute where you get to come in, meet everyone in person, and your peers are very important network in this program. So we want to build a sense of community. We have a strong sense of community. We're proud of that. And it gives you an opportunity. Even if you are online, you're going to feel a sense of strong connection because, again, your teachers are going to be live teaching you on Zoom or whatever platform they have. And the interface is going to be direct engagement on a weekly basis. So we really invite that opportunity for you residentially. If you have that option, that's great, but also online. It's a superior program online.
Perhaps I could jump in and add that a few of us have been cultivating a hybrid pedagogy using the Residential Institute. So what we do is we work online, and we believe in getting the most out of the technology. And there's a lot of coaching that goes on, particularly in the early stages. And then we also have moments of sort of remedial help along the way with any of the technology that anybody might be battling with. But we want to get the most out of the technology, but at the same time, through our Residential Institute, we have time to actually mix and mingle in person with our students. And then, as I say, some of us have been working on a hybrid pedagogy. In other words, attaching a workshop to the Residential Institutes, because we know you're going to be here and we only want you to pay for travel once. So then we put a workshop of 1 or 2 days afterwards. And that actually enables a lot of time to really work through up close the nitty-gritty of any issues that are coming up. So we try to get the best out of both.
So we do have some other questions as well, so I'll just kind of read them off as we get going. Few questions. Are the synchronous chat sessions required, or can you watch the recordings afterwards? I.e. basically, is attendance fully required for class settings?
In general, yes, there are, of course, life happens, emergencies happen. So the recordings are kind of a safety valve backup. But in general, yes, depending on the exact nature of the hybridity, right? So there might be some extra courses, as Terry was describing, or some extra activities during Residential Institute for certain courses. Typically, it's a Zoom session a week. Just like you would have, we try to make it feel like a classroom. But again, life happens, and so most of us, I think, are very flexible with recordings for for real emergencies, which do come up.
Which courses overlap from the MS to PhD if they're both taken at NSU?
Typically, we are able to have what we call TOCs, transfer of credit, from our master's program into our PhD program. And so some of the core classes may be able to be transferred in to the PhD program, and that would shorten then the number of courses that one would take. Obviously, time is of the essence, and by that, I mean, you can't graduate from our MS program 15 years ago, now decide to come to the PhD program and expect transfer of credit, because those credits would have expired in terms of being TOCs. So, but ones that are more recently taken, you apply for that, we absolutely can transfer in credits.
And just to answer, I did see your question. Another one coming about transfer credits. You will then speak to the department as well as either Nassim Grant, Lee Shazier, and they'll be able to help go over the transfer of credit. Just because those two questions seem kind of linked, I wanted to get on top of both of those. So we would send you the contact point for who to reach out to about potential transfer of credits as well at the university. Is summer school available for PhD program students once matriculation occurs? I believe that question is asking if you are trying to start this coming fall and you already get enrolled. No, once you get started in the fall, then you would have fall, winter, then summer classes, but you cannot start before that initial fall application semester. Is tuition services fee reimbursable for tuition reimbursement program, or is that just actual student fees? From Florence. Florence, you would want to speak to the bursar's office about that specifically. As far as the fees and services go, they handle that side of the department, and I will happily send you an email after this that has their contact information for you to reach out to them, because I want to make sure that they get you 100% the correct answer for what you're looking for. What help is available to students when it comes to finding job opportunities? We do get this question a lot. So that's a great question.
I think I teach internship often here, so I can just say that we have great partnerships with so many organizations in the field and very diverse disciplines, right? So whether you want to be a mediator, we can certainly introduce you to the American Arbitration Association. They have a mediation section and a roster. We have the Federal Mediation Conciliatory Service representative coming on campus next month. They are the ones that work for the federal government. They're mediators and remarkable partners, you know, and I think you have to remember, since we are one of the earliest conflict resolution programs in the nation, we have trained really remarkable students who are now our alumni. Those are networks, really great pathways for future students, opportunities for your students to get mentorship. So we have liaison with a lot of industry partners, students, current students. So we have a lot of resources available to you in terms of those opportunities. And our internships are really intended not only just to expose you, but to get you to launch, you know, to do what you need to do. So if you want to be a mediator, guarantee you are going to learn how to be a mediator and pursue that as a career. We don't just teach you from a pedantic point of view of textbook. We are so experiential, so interactive. And oftentimes in our classes, we even partner with an organization and say, here's a real world problem that's happening right now. Students, let's embark on a facilitation workshop. Let's do a training. Let's do a practice. Let's get this done. And so we tackle real problems in our classrooms as well. Thank you for that wonderful question.
Perhaps I could put in just a bit of a pitch to say that part of what we're working on with the UN agency that I mentioned in that memorandum of understanding is internships. So we're actually hoping in a very carefully crafted way to have a few excellent placements that correspond to your career needs and particular needs within a UN agency on the Geneva circuit. Geneva is expensive, but at least that door is open. At least that's where my work has been.
Awesome. Moving on to Kenneth's question. How do you expose your PhD students to practical academics?
Well, and that's that whole pracademic aspect where some of our classes are very specifically practice classes, where you're involved in role plays and simulations. You know, we have so many different courses that a number of us teach that are engaged in that. Then add to that our internships and practicums, including those within the United States and those that are global. You have the opportunity to get out to real world experience and be able to take what you have been learning in the classroom and take it to the outside, which is really helpful, so that by the time you graduate from one of our programs, you actually have already accrued some experience. Even in our PhD program, we have a teaching and training track with teaching and training and then teaching and training practicum, where you're actually going to be a teaching assistant to one of our faculty or perhaps a faculty from another university. So then if you're ultimately looking for an academic position, you already have experience.
And I might mention one class that I teach. It's called Consulting with Leaders, where the students have a fieldwork project, which is most of the semester, where they actually work with a top manager or supervisor in an organizational setting wherever they are. So they can be in California, they can be abroad, but they're getting practical experience and also giving something back to the community. So Terry had mentioned our Scholarship of Engagement. Cheryl Duckworth was a wonderful editor of a book that we all contributed to on Scholarship of Engagement, which is doing some real world work that benefits outside the university.
Awesome. For the PhD program, how many courses each semester? Also, how does the in-person work? I know that we come to campus once per semester, if they understood that correctly. The courses per semester are dependent. The average student takes 2 courses per semester, which is where, as I mentioned before, that's 6 credits per semester. Now you can increase that up to 9, I believe, but you would need to speak with the department chair as well as the academic coordinator to make sure that that is taken care of. But it's usually 2 classes per semester for the graduate school. And then I don't know if Dr. McKay, if you want to answer how the in-person stuff would be handled, or somebody on one of your staff.
Well, the in-person classes are on campus, literally in person, generally starting at 6 o'clock in the evening. And they're run like any other types of classes that likely you have been in terms of there's a professor, you have your colleagues, and you're doing your work, sometimes on your own and sometimes in class. And some of those classes are also what we call blended classes, meaning that simultaneously we have a group of students on campus in a classroom, and simultaneously we also have a group of students online, so that there's interchange between the online students and the in-person residential students, and that can make for a very interesting classroom experience.
I'm going to add to that because I think we have to brag a little bit. Nova Southeastern University has one of the most beautiful campuses.
Yes.
And so whether you're online or you're going to be residential, you're going to have full access to that. When you come visit and you do your workshop, your residential institute, you're going to be able to experience it. We have the largest physical library in the whole state of Florida of any university. And UF is pretty impressive, but we outdo them in terms of our largest library. And the facilities are state of the art. We have a hospital. We have beautiful student union with Guy Harvey, lovely art everywhere. So you almost have to indulge in this beautiful showcase of beautiful amenities that you have full access to. And I think that's very important because there are wonderful universities out there, but the amenities, I think, are just beautiful here. Beautiful, beautiful. And state of the art.
Awesome. I do have another question. It looks like for some semesters, it may be difficult to find classes that are needed for the MS program. So are you open to taking some of the prerequisites at the same time as the courses such as 6140 and 5040?
Hi, so good afternoon. I can take that one. We do make substitutions, as needed sometimes. In fact, I'm looking at that for a couple of our students right now. Our master's currently has 2 electives, and we're looking at sort of updating that. Is it time to expand that? So so stay tuned. But yes, on a pretty regular basis, if that substitution makes sense for the content and the pedagogy of what the student's trying to do, then yes, we have made those substitutions just to help the student kind of continue to move through the program and get to graduation day.
Awesome. The fall semester classes, I believe it should be Monday, August 19th is this upcoming fall semester start time. As far as funding opportunities, that would be looking towards our scholarship website pages and the Office of International Affairs office that they can do their best to assist you with as well, because I know the question does get asked a lot. We are not a fully funded PhD or master's program, to make sure that is answered correctly as well.
I would be willing to jump into the proverbial lion's den, if you like, and take on that question about the political climate in Florida. And just to share that, because I appreciate that being acknowledged. And I think that's a huge part of working with conflict, is to begin by actually acknowledging things for what they are. I'm a guest in the US. I'm new to the US, at least coming up for 2 years soon. And something that has frankly frightened me is the extent to which important issues have led to, provoked quite severe social polarization. A lot of discussion, not about issues, but about who's saying them, and very destructive. As a paler skin, I guess, Southern African, I've been crossing lines all of my life. I was a conscientious objector against the apartheid regime's army. And throughout my life, I've been wanting to find out what the other side is thinking. Hence my work as a victimologist, wanting to see what people who are struggling with terrible abuse by political elites or armies, soldiers, renegade, what they actually need, what they say they need. And so crossing lines is a really important part, I believe, of our work and the integrity of our work as conflict resolution academics, to use Dr. Katz's term. And being in Florida actually gives that opportunity. Yes, it's not a place where everybody agrees with each other. There are some real difficulties, but we are an educational institution. This is the place where it is important we can create and teach students to create safe spaces in which to discuss hard issues. And some of the feedback of which I've been most proud with my classes is students saying, Terry, you actually make a safe place in which we can not only say what we think, but we can experiment with what we feel and think in front of our colleagues without the risk of being reduced or disrespected in some way. So that to me is really the function of a university. So
I think Terry's point is very important. As an educational institution and program, we're not going to indoctrinate, we are going to educate. And really that is to get people from very diverse backgrounds, whether you name it political, ethnically, faith, you name it. Our point is, how do we bring people together? During 9/11, I was teaching at a different institution. It was a time that there was a lot of fear in this country. Many of you were probably very young at that time, but there was a lot of concern about 9/11 and what was happening. So quickly we got a diversity dialogues going. We got students to talk across campus about what were their fears, how did they feel? It gave everybody an opportunity to have voice. And that's what I think this field is so beautiful. We are the mediators, right? We are the conduits for peace building, peacemaking, and restoration, rebuilding of relationships. So we invite students to come and have a very candid conversation, to cross over the lines. I think it's easy to have a friend. It's to question, why do we have war? Why do we have conflict in our communities? Why do we have this polarization and divides? And how do we come in as conflict resolutionists to work together with groups and communities to bring them together? So we invite that opportunity with you all, and very excited to have you here today.
If I could just take a quick moment, and I typed this answer, but I think I sent it privately. So because this is such an important question. My research, especially being on schools, right? Human rights, education in schools, of course, has exactly to do with how do we teach history? What happens when people are trying to silence history? What about the rights of all, kids, families? What do we do about these issues? How do we create curriculum around them? How do we empower students and teachers and faculty? So I sort of live in this thicket. I love it, apparently, because I've lived there since about 1997. I've conducted research on this with local school systems, right? Teachers and students here, faculty here. Are very passionate about protecting our rights, protecting each other's rights, protecting our students' rights. We're celebrating DEI specifically next week, the Halmos College. So I have not found that it has prevented me or any of my students from being able to say or think or feel whatever they want to say or think or feel. And so I just want to share that. And that includes students. You notice the diversity of our students. That's a kind of professional and ideological diversity, as well as every other kind of diversity that you can imagine. So I have not found that to be an issue. I get that feedback from my students. And a lot of students come to us precisely for that dialogue. I was very proud back in 2016 for obvious reasons. In 2000, we didn't do this, but in 2016, we actually led election-related dialogues on campus. I'm hoping that we'll do that again this fall, and hope to get that started. So, yeah, so it's a teachable moment, and I know we're over time here, so that's all I'll say. Thank
Carol,
you for that very
can you
important
talk
question.
about your conference? Because it's such a beautiful opportunity for students to get involved in.
Oh,
And
sure.
the fact that we host that is a really special tribute to our field beyond just our department, that we have
Sure.
launched a wonderful conference that you're all encouraged to look at and join.
Sure, thank you. So I will put this in the link in the chat box. I am, as Alexia says, I'm proud to be the editor-in-chief of the Peace and Conflict Studies Journal. We publish research from all over the world related to peace and conflict resolution. And a couple of years ago, we started hosting a conference. I looked around at the landscape. My colleagues looked around at our landscape, and especially our interim chair, who is off, I believe, in Ohio, with a consortium of conflict resolution education folks. And we thought, why aren't we hosting this conference? There's a real need for it. There is not another conference that does exactly what we do. Our next conference is going to be January 2025. So very excited about that. Our students get involved. They present their research. We have leading scholars in the field serve as keynote speakers, workshops, research panels. Our graduate students have gotten involved in presenting their own thinking, practice, research, as well as people from all over the world, whether they log in or actually come to visit our campus. So yeah, thank you, Alexia, for mentioning that. It's a great opportunity. The department is a leader in the field of conflict resolution, and this conference is an expression of that. So thank you all.
Thank you for sharing that, because I thought that's such a great thing to highlight. And the last thing I would say is, if you're interested in pursuing academia as a professor, as a trainer, as a practitioner, whatever it is that you're doing, we have students that have success across the board. So we're not just training one type of student in terms of one direction or one career pathway. We've got students in cutting edge careers, really leading the way in so many different disciplines. And I think our alumni speak for themselves, really well accomplished. So we hope you join us so we can rave about you and you become one of our exceptional alumni and have a success in this career. And again, thank you so much for picking conflict resolution, your interest. There's no accident that you're here, and we truly wish you the best in your choice and hope you pick us.
I would also like to thank you for being here. As the airlines like to say, we know you had a choice to fly, and we're delighted that you flew with us today. Thank you so much.
And I did just realize that we are a little bit over the time that we had planned for. I know faculty, you guys are all incredibly busy, and I want to thank you guys for taking time to speak to our wonderful students that are always interested to hear more about you. If you, as those of you that are watching, if you do have more questions later that I always have questions pop up, please reach out to a member of my staff, and we will make sure to either if we can answer them, forward them on to the faculty members to get more specific questions in. So I know they're always happy to help as well. Please keep in mind, this will be recorded, obviously, so we will be sending this out to you all again for later viewing, or you could find it on our YouTube channel. As well as I do want to request again that we will have a survey attached to that email to please fill that out for us. It helps my staff to keep making sure we can take care of our students the way they truly deserve, because they, as Dr. McKay said, we love having our students come around and talk to us. It's always enjoyable. With that being said, I do want to wrap up today. So for those of you that are here and watching later, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We'd love for you to come to NSU and take all the advantages that our wonderful faculty and our school has to offer, because you're not going to find better for what we're looking for. Our faculty are top notch, and they really do care. And I can tell you that because they bug me nonstop in the best way possible, and I love it. So thank you again for being here, guys. Look forward to talking to you all and seeing you around campus or online soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.